Good evening, sports fans. This is Level Up Sports 10, Mossberg, reporting to you live, coming at you with another great week of NFL football talk. And yes, we got the great picks. We got great games coming up this week. And we're starting off with probably one of the most anticipated Thursday night games we have up until this point. Nothing against the few we've had already, but this one definitely is going to be a banger. You have the Green Bay Packers versus the Detroit Lions, and everyone already know when it comes to the Detroit Lions how we are feeling about Super Bowl contention, possibly a Super Bowl in Motown. Um, this game is probably, you know, one of the biggest games. And reason I'm saying that is because you have Detroit right now at 11-1. You have Minnesota sitting at 10-2, and in that division, 3-0 is Detroit, 2-1 is Minnesota. So I think when it comes to this game here, it sets the tone for a lot that goes on in the NFC from here on out the rest of the season as well. And not to mention some of those other divisions, and we'll get to that as we continue on. But they have Detroit favored by 3 points. And over and under is 51 and a half. And I had got a message about the Thursday night pick. I appreciate you for watching and tuning in as well. And all the comments is appreciated as well. Feel free if you have your own pick. If you feel a certain way, we'll put that in and note that in the comments and shout you out as well on that pick also. And this game was probably one of the toughest, knowing how Detroit's playing. I know they're going to be wrangling and rumbling at home, just going crazy. But I'm going with Jordan Love and the Cheeseheads. Yes, those Green Bay Packers. And I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers in this one. I just think, I don't know, they've been having a, I would say back and forth type of season, sitting at the 8-5 that they are. I feel that this is a team that can make a major stride moving forward with a win against Detroit at home. So myself, I'm taking those Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love, Jones. I think they'll definitely Dobbs at the receiver. I think they'll definitely come through and have a great performance in this one. Nothing against Detroit, probably the hottest team in the NFL. And I know the fan base is going to be going crazy, but I'm taking, again, the Packers in this one, and a close one. The next one we have is the Jacksonville Jaguars versus our guy, WTP Sports Dudes, Tennessee Titans. His Titans are favored by 3.5, and the over and under is 39.5. And for this one, before I go into this more, again, want to send prayers out to Trevor Lawrence, the organization, family as well. As we spoke about a month or so ago with Tua, we know these injuries can be serious, they can be devastating, and we just don't know what they can do to NFL quarterback's career, just health and all those great things that they can have, but with the injury like this, we just don't know. So just well wishes to him, speedy recover, and all the great stuff that comes behind having Trevor Lawrence at that QB position for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going with the Tennessee Titans. WTP Sports Dudes, I know your Tennessee Titans been taking some tough losses. I know they got a great win. I believe in last week. Let me double check for you real quick because we were speaking on them. I'm sorry. Lions got y'all 42-19 the prior week to that, the win that y'all got. And I feel y'all get back on track and get a win this week and move forward throughout the rest of the season. I feel in a rebuilding phase of some sorts and getting back with those injuries as well. This next game that we have up, we have the New York Jets against the Miami Dolphins. And Tua Tagovailoa, if I said that right, hopefully I did because that's a tough name. You've been doing your thing, man. Since you've got back, you've been healthy. and you've been a great quarterback. So if you didn't hear us, we're going to keep on telling you, man, it's good to see you back out on that field doing what you love best, looking like a great quarterback and the great quarterback that you are. So I'm going with the Dolphins in this one, with Miami being at home, tough division game, and I think Miami comes out on top, and they just keep chugging away. They just keep chugging away because in that AFC, you just don't know. Your hopes can be alive, I think, for a few more teams as the season goes on, but it could kind of slide away if some team take losses, Miami being one of them. But I got them on the winning side this week. And I just think with the New York Jets, I don't know. I think, when it comes to the draft, I think let's go ahead and, grab a QB. Let's go ahead and grab a QB. Let's get somebody in that can, get that ball to those receivers. Nothing against Aaron Rodgers, but develop them and make sure that this organization is moving forward in the right way. Because in New York, they will come at you every type of way. In the sports world, things not going well. So my hopes is that Aaron Rodgers could finish the season off on a good note, at least, even though it's not looking like the Jets will possibly get in the playoffs, but we just don't know. So with that being said, I'm going with the Dolphins, and I just wish that, well, not wish, but hope that these Jets can get something going in a positive way and not look the way they have been looking this season. So with that, move on to our next game. And this next game we have up, I think, as I spoke about a game prior to, you got the Atlanta Falcons going against the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold, tale of two halves last week, slanging that thing, as Parlay Poe would say, and finding Addison, finding Jefferson, and just willing those Minnesota Vikings to a tough win. And they have the Falcons, Captain Kirk. I'm still going to call you Captain Kirk here on this show with Level Up Sports 10, WTP Sports Dudes. I think at this point, Kirk will have to throw 10 interceptions in one game for us not to call him Captain Kirk. Last week, you threw 4 of them things. I don't want you throwing 4 of them things this week, Captain Kirk. I think you could play a lot better, but I think it's going to be tough to get a win in Minnesota. This Minnesota team is hot, 10-2, as I spoke on them before. And I think at 10-2, I don't know if they're getting enough respect, but Sam Darnold, as Parlay Poe would say, is slanging that thing once again. So we got to respect this Minnesota Vikings team and what they bring into the table, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And you got veterans out there in that secondary, and Smith, and then their cornerbacks are locking in and doing what they're supposed to do week in, week out. Not to mention the defensive line, amongst other things, with that Minnesota team as a whole. They come at you in different waves, and if they can put it together as a 1,000-piece puzzle this week, let's just say, Atlanta, you're in some trouble. So I'm taking the Minnesota Vikings in this one. They're favored by 6. Over and under is 45.5. I'm going to take the over because I definitely think it's going to be some fireworks and some great plays in this game. I think Bijan Robinson, one we've been looking at, WTP Sports Dudes guy from Texas. We feel it's a great back. And the one thing is, if Atlanta could get him the ball early, often, and things can happen, you never know. This Atlanta team can definitely put some points on the board with that young core wide receivers and Pitts, Rooney, London, just to name a few. So make sure that you don't sleep on these Atlanta Falcons. But I'm taking the Vikings in a great game and a win. And I'm going to say by about a good 7 points, no more than 14. I'm going to say 10. Minnesota by 10. The next game we have coming up, I started off calling them the Bourbon Saints, but now, as you see, I have them as the New Orleans Saints. And you got the New Orleans Saints going to New York to face the G-Men and those New York Giants. New Orleans is favored by 4.5 in this one. And over and under is 40.5. I've picked both of these teams this season. Carr, you could be great one week, you be slinging that thing. But them G-men, them young G-men, gonna come out with a win at home this week against the Saints. And I'm taking the Giants and them 4. And I'm gonna go with the under in this one. It's gonna be a toss-up with that, but I'm gonna take the under. I think the Giants defense at home will definitely put a test on for these Saints, Carr and that offense. So I'm definitely going with the New York Giants and a close victory, but I think they at least could get it by a touchdown. So I like Neighbors and that young Giants defense as well. So I'm going to go with them in this one to win by at least a touchdown. The next game we have coming up, I feel it's a great game. And the reason I say this is a great game, you got 2 quarterbacks that played for the same college, some Bama boys you could call them. And what I mean by that is when they played for Alabama, of course, Hurts transferred, and went elsewhere, I believe Oklahoma. So in this game, I'm specifically looking to see how Bryce Young plays. That's the one thing I'm looking at. And I think with him being back, I think 3-2, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 3-2, 2-2. I'm not for sure exactly, but he's definitely been looking like a better quarterback since coming back, moving out the pocket, moving around. But they're going to the city of brotherly love. Philadelphia just came from going to Baltimore, 100 miles up the road, and cracking the Ravens. So I think they come home. The city's filled with joy after a big win at Baltimore. They come home, get another great win. And I'm going to just say a big win as well, because when you're getting wins at this point and you're in a win streak like these Philadelphia Eagles, shout out to our main man, another one of our guys, Mr. Pettigrew. If you watch it, Philly boys, they for real this year. They definitely showed me last week. And, oh, yeah, they got Saquon in that backfield. I think he get a couple of them tutties, as WTP Sports dudes call them. And Hurts just keep on putting the hurting on the defense with those legs. And the way he moved last week, I think he moves that way, but I think he keeps that ball spinning, as Parlay Post say, and get a couple of them tutties in the air as well. And I'm going to go ahead and take the over. I'm taking Philly to cover all with the 13 as well in this game against Carolina, but just looking to see Bryce Young just continue to get better and better each week. So when we, at this point, before I get to the next game, just some thoughts on the NFL season. You got Buffalo, who's already clinched. You have Kansas City, who's already clinched the division. Of course, clinched the spot as well. So you got the Raiders that's eliminated. You got the Jacksonville Jaguars, the New England Patriots, and the New York Giants that all have been eliminated at this point in the season. So with those teams being eliminated, my thoughts are coming into this week, are these teams going to play? Are they going to put forth that effort? Or are some of these teams going to begin to tank the season? Just something to think about, something to look at. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts is on that, and we'll definitely have a show and even have time to talk about that more as well. That next game we have up, got the Las Vegas Raiders against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And these Buccaneers, man, been bucking. And when I say bucking, you got a team that has went on a 4-game skid, yet tied up with Atlanta for the division lead and still in a hunt for possible home playoff berth in these playoffs. Not to mention that as well about the Atlanta Falcons, but back to the Bucs. You got Baker Mayfield, 4-game stretch. You got your main 2 receivers injured. You got to figure some things out. And when you have to figure these things out, it's always thing that you go to the drawing board, but he went to the drawing board. He found Otto. His main man, Evans, got healthy. But in between that time, he found little Bucky, and that's Bucky Irvin. So these Buccaneers with Bucky going to keep bucking and buck themselves right into a top seed in that NFC South, that is, and march their way into the playoffs. That's my opinion, and I think this Tampa Bay team is one you got to watch out. And I'm going to have them getting this win at home by 14 on the Las Vegas Raiders. And I'm going to keep the under. I know the Raiders been putting up points against some couple teams lately, but I think this Tampa Bay team right now where we at in this point in the season, I think they come out, put a smacking on these Raiders so they could get themselves moving forward towards the top of that division with the win and possibly more as the season continues. The Cowboys should have tanked the season. Bucky, Sterling Shepard too. Yes, I did forget about Sterling Shepard. That is our main man, FanDuel, Zaya, the Zen Master in there chiming in with the chat, man. Appreciate you joining in and watching as well this evening. And yeah, Bucky, Sterling Shepard, I mean, you can't speak no much more, man, not that much more about what this team has been able to do, as well as these players coming together and continuing to play tough throughout those injuries. And not only that, but make a name for themselves. But that gives Mayfield even more confidence to continue to do what he's doing and even get better week by week. So with that one being said, of course, I got these Buccaneers with Bucky bucking, Sterling Shepard catching them on a dime, and he's spinning that ball to Evans for them tutties, as WTP Sports Dudes, as Parlay Poets say. The next game we have coming up on the menu this evening, the Seattle Seahawks versus the Arizona Cardinals. Now, in this NFC West, it's pretty scary over there. You got Seattle sitting at the top of the division right now. Major game against these Cardinals, and they're right behind them at 6-6, followed by those Los Angeles Rams. We'll get to them next at 6-6. And then you got those San Francisco 49ers right behind those guys at 5-7. So it's a 2-game drop from the bottom to the top. Anything can happen in this NFC West. And right now, I don't know. It's just a tough pick. I want to go with them Rams because they got a couple of my Seminoles on that squad, and they've been playing very good this season. But then again, the Seattle team is scary. Then you got an Arizona team that's been on a win streak lately. And then you have those 49ers. They're the 49ers. And you know what that means. They could get hot at any given moment. So, in this game here, Arizona's favorite, 2.5. 44.5 over and under. My thoughts on this one was, can Arizona win at home? This is like a clutch game. This is crunch time, division game. I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith going to spin that ball. And when I say going to spin that ball to Smith and Jigba, as we were talking about on the show Monday, how he's starting to catch that combination on the regular, Smith and Jigba running those routes and just being a great receiver as he is, who came out of the Ohio State University. And shout out to them for sending him on up to the pros and letting him just get to that next level and be a beast, because that's what he is. So I'm taking the Seahawks, and I'm taking the Seahawks by a touchdown, and I'm going to go with the over. I think it's just going to be a lot of points scored in this one. Last time I believe they played, it was I think it was about 50 on the board. So I'm going to take the over in this one, and just Geno Smith getting busy, Walker on the ground, as well as, like I said, Smith and Jigba. Metcalf may have a breakout game as well. Our next game we have up on the menu, got those Buffalo Bills at the Los Angeles Rams. The Buffalo Bills are favored by 4. The over and under is 49.5. And when I seen this game this week, the first thoughts was, this is a trap game, Buffalo. Josh Allen, you've been playing great. Been playing great football. Cook, you've been cooking. Not to mention Khalil Shakir. that young wide receiver core with the veteran leadership of Amari Cooper, tight end Knox. They just been busting doors wide open this season. And, I had said Josh Allen was my choice for the MVP. I'm a Bengals fan. Burrow is here all the time. Stats off the chart. We just don't have the wins to really say he's MVP. Even though he's my MVP, Josh Allen is this year's, at this point, NFL MVP. And I think this game, he continues his run for the MVP. And I think they get the Rams in this one. And this was a tough decision for me because I got them Seminole boys and they've been playing great football and they're going to Los Angeles. So if the Rams win this game, you heard it first. It's not going to surprise me because they're really that good, having those weapons back. But I'm taking Buffalo. I love the way Cook is playing. I love that young receiving core in Buffalo. My cousin Dink, if you get a chance to watch, your Bills is balling, as we would say. And Josh Allen is just playing at a different level. We seen when they played Kansas City. We seen last week in the snow. And I don't know, man. This Buffalo team is different than what we've seen in the last few years. That's just my opinion. I like this Buffalo team that we seeing, and they're a problem. So just make sure you remember that I said that first if nobody else said it. And I'm going with Buffalo could put up 40 themselves. I'm going with the over. I'm going over Buffalo by a couple. Next game we have up on the slate, I feel is a great one as well. You got the Chicago Bears against the San Francisco 49ers. And once again, this division that we're in, it's, the San Francisco 49ers got to win. They have to win this game to stay in the race for their division and even a playoff berth, of course, as well. So with that being said, Chicago really haven't showed me as much in the last month, I would say, when it comes to getting the win against the 49ers, you have to go to San Francisco. That's a tough place to play at this point in the season, especially when San Francisco need a win. I got the 49ers in this one. I have the 49ers and Purdy to Juwan Johnson. I think Juwan Jennings, my correction. Juwan Jennings, I spoke about that connection, and they're getting more familiar and more comfortable with each other. And I think that this is a breakout game for them. I say Jennings go for $150 with a couple tutties, and I say Purdy is back to doing some different things, even if they go with Allen at the quarterback. So with that being said, I like Mason also for the 49ers at that running back position. So that's something to look out. And his stats, even with McCaffrey up until this point of him playing, his percentages, everything across the board was better than McCaffrey's. Nothing against him coming back from injury or anything like that. Speedy recovery, and we do want you to get better. We do want you to see you on that field as well. But Mason is a hidden gem. Make sure you remember that name. I said it first if nobody else said it, but he's definitely a gem, and the 49ers have him one and another running back. Now, this next one, and yes, definitely Mason on the IR too. Oh, man, I didn't know that he got hurt late in that game because in that game before I had fell asleep late. So that must have been when he got hurt. And you said your fantasy team, you got to go grab one of them running backs. You got to go grab one quick, fast, in a hurry at this time in the season. It's one of them running backs that's coming in off of somebody being hurt or on IR that show up and show out. That's one thing about those running backs for sure. The next game we have up on the slate, and I wish one of my guys was here for this one. Y'all know what I call them. The Pittsburgh Steelers. 44-38, man. 44-38. They got my boys last week. City League. I asked somebody. They got us. We know we talked about it. But the one thing about this Pittsburgh team, we analysts, we talk about them. They're dangerous. I'm gonna say what I say. For them to be able to come in, I'm watching a game. I know Fields is going to take off, and for them to make that play happen and make the yardage that they made off of that play, the Pittsburgh Steelers are dangerous. And their defense, we know what their defense brings to the table. Anyone know when you go against Joe Burrow, the Cincinnati Bengals, what the offense is capable of doing. But that defense for Pittsburgh definitely, I feel, will step up in this game here against the Cleveland Browns. And I think they'll get a tough win. They have not forgotten about the snow. They have not forgot. So just keep that in mind. They coming in hell high about this game for sure, especially after a few weeks ago. And the over and under is 43.5 with them favored by 6.5. I'm going to take the over. I think Pittsburgh could get it by a touchdown, maybe 10. I just think they move in a different direction. This is a team that's very scary. They're not 9-3 for no reason. They're not sitting at the top of the North for no reason. So if I was y'all, man, I know y'all love to hate the Steelers, but y'all got to put some respect on their name. They playing for great football, and they out there looking like AFC champs. And when I say AFC champs, you got Buffalo, you got Pittsburgh, you got Kansas City, and you got Houston. Now, out of those four, people would say, oh, let's see that Kansas City, Pittsburgh, because of people's thoughts on how Buffalo have played. And FanDuel Zay, he said, Jameis asked God to deliver him from pick sixes. Interesting. Interesting thing going into this game this week coming up against these Pittsburgh Steelers. We just don't know what can happen. Just know Pittsburgh is riding with a head on their shoulder from that last game as well. So for me, as I said, I'm going with those Steelers in this one. And as a Bengals fan, I know it's tough to go for them, but I have to go for them. And we got to respect them where they at. And like I was saying with Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Houston, I would think based on how Buffalo's played over the last few years and lost that meaningful game, some people would think that this Buffalo team is that same team possibly, but I think they're a different team. And I think the teams that you need to watch is Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and you see the background. You see that touchdown out there. That Who Dey Nation. If we go on this win streak and get a wild card, just watch out as we get to our Sunday night game between the Los Angeles Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Another banger in Kansas City. 8:20 night game in Kansas City. The question is, who's showing up in that backfield? Is it going to be Patrick Mahomes, or is it going to be Patrick Mahomes, MVP for the last couple seasons on that Super Bowl run that everyone look at and speak so highly of? Or will it be Herbs and Spices? That's what I call him, Herbs and Spices, and Justin Herbert, who's been coming out balling, spinning that thing, as Parlay Post say. And when you think about this Los Angeles Chargers team, of course we talk about Herbs and Spices, J.K. Dobbins, the offensive side of the ball, but this defense for the Chargers is playing great football. So with that being said, watch out for the Los Angeles Chargers defense. I'm taking the Chargers in KC, and I'm going to take the over in KC. I'm sorry. I'm going against the Chiefs on live. I'm taking those Chargers, and that's what I'm saying. I just think some of these quarterbacks are looking to get a piece of that Super Bowl, and they're doing whatever they can to get them boys them losses, and that is them Chiefs I'm talking about. And I'm sorry, Principal, about going against your Chiefs. I do apologize, but I'm just taking the Chargers. They're a very hot team and very scary as well. And last but not least, we have, of course, our Monday night showdown between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Dallas Cowboys. And the Cincinnati Bengals are favored by 5, and the over and under is 49.5. Now, these are two teams. Mine being the Cincinnati Bengals. You know, my little brother, Sean, shout out to you, man. Your Cowboys. Man, we've been having a tough season. You know, we got buddies, you know, in our WTP Sports Dudes fan base as well. Some of the guys we grew up with. Charles Brown, I'm thinking about you, thinking about Wesley. Some of the guys, man, just a tough season, man. But in this one, we coming to spank y'all. Joe Burrow coming to throw for about 350 and about 3 of them tutties and a couple of them to chase. And he going to get to dancing in that end zone. So, of course, I got the Cincinnati Bengals and Who Dey Nation. And I'm going with the over because, you know, when you get to Dallas, you want to go out there and have fun. This is the place where everybody would love to be at and play. Of course, sometimes as a QB, but when you come in as an opposing QB as well, you love being in this stadium. You love showing your skill. So I think Joe Burrow come in and have a record-breaking performance in this here stadium in Texas. That is Cowboys Stadium, and we come out on top with a victory. And I know, like I was speaking on before about the seasons on both sides of the ball with the Bengals and the Cowboys. Man, it's just tough. It's just tough. I don't see no E next to our name on our standings, so that means we're not eliminated. This could be one win towards 8 straight, and then the season trying to get into these playoffs. So I have enough faith in these Cincinnati Bengals that we could ride this wave, getting this win and getting on in with about 7 of them straight after that, which will make 8, getting into the playoffs and making some noise. If they let us in by us getting them wins, I just feel we could do something. And to the defense, if you hear me here at Level Up Sports 10, that sack leader and Trey Hendrickson, we know what we're going to get out of him. We know what we're going to get out of our defensive line, putting that pressure on. Let's get together as a unit. Let's do what we did a few weeks ago. Get our act together at that halftime, but come out and play even stronger from the start, not from halftime on forward. Let's come out. Let's practice the rest of this week. Let's have tough practice days, even if they 2 in a day, whatever it is, whether it's a walkthrough or not. Let's get ready, man, for this game on Monday night because the whole world is watching. I'm going to be tuned in, and I might even do a live watch stream just so I can have everybody locked in on how I feel about my Bengals and Who Dey Nation. But outside of that, for those who are tuned in, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you just stay locked in and tuned in to Level Up Sports 10 because we just going to keep pumping out the content and keep coming out with so many more different things. Got high school live streaming basketball coming up. Some live in games while watching games, whether it be NBA, NCAA basketball, just any type of sport. It's Level Up Sports 10. Don't forget that. So make sure you stay locked in as well. And don't forget about WTP Sports Dudes, City League TV, Ask Somebody podcast, and we got Parlay Po coming. And then as our guy, the Zen Master Zay is watching, we're going to have the Zen Master Zay show coming to you soon with all them great picks, all them things you can look at and just go to all our videos, subscribe to us all, like, and just prepare for all the content that we're going to come. And make sure you got them notifications on because I'm pumping out more short videos, more just more of everything. Everything is coming for you. So for those who are locked in, I greatly appreciate you. And as we always say, peace. Great evening to you all. One love. We out.